They really hate each other now, and they cannot hide it anymore.
She was the villain.
How was she dangerous?
Because of the need for her to rehabilitate her image.
The cameras were supposed to capture yet another royal fairy tale moment. Clean, polished, and perfectly staged for the headlines. Instead, they focused on something heavier, something tense, something undeniably wrong. The energy shifted instantly, and it was impossible not to feel it even through a screen. When Prince Harry stepped out of the black SUV in New York, his expression told the story before a single word was spoken. His eyes were tight, his jaw locked, his shoulders rigid, like he was barely keeping a storm contained. This wasn't calm or controlled silence. This was pressure, the kind that builds seconds before someone breaks under relentless flashes. For Meghan, it seemed like muscle memory took over. The smile clicked on like stage lights, polished, practiced, flawless on cue. She played her role perfectly, but the contrast between them was impossible to ignore.
I know my latest money-making scheme is going to be cosplaying the final night that Princess Diana died. It's truly sick. He just doesn't seem to give a damn.
The distance between them was noticeable immediately, sharp enough to make the air feel uncomfortable. One wrong step, one wrong breath, and the entire moment felt like it could implode. Then a voice cut through the noise of the crowd. Someone shouted, "Stop using our offspring," and the atmosphere cracked wide open. That was the exact second everything changed. Harry's head snapped toward the sound, a flash of anger crossing his face for just a heartbeat. He turned away quickly, but not before gripping Meghan's arm. It wasn't gentle or reassuring, just sudden and forceful, like someone trying to pull away from danger. His lips moved, but whatever he said was swallowed by the chaos. All that remained was raw tension as cameras fired endlessly. Reporters called out their names, but the fairy tale had already started to collapse. Those smiles weren't affectionate or romantic anymore. They were survival smiles.
Body language. My God, no amount of PR spin is going to deal with that.
You completely see that she is shaken by this.
The kind you wear when everything is unraveling and you know the entire world is staring. From that moment forward, nothing felt scripted or smooth anymore. The prince who once challenged the palace now looked like a man shielding himself from pressure, from the cameras, from whatever had gone wrong behind closed doors. They walked the red carpet together, yet with every step, the invisible gap between them seemed to widen. What the public read as glamour, insiders quietly whispered was a silent war. Each camera flash carried the same unspoken question: what turned devotion into frustration and transformed a fairy tale into tension? New York City pulsed that night with sirens, snapping lenses, and impossible expectations. This was meant to be a comeback moment. The Duke and Duchess reclaiming their shine.
Maybe he is still very upset over her stunt over in Paris. I can't imagine that didn't go unnoticed by him.
The venue shimmered in gold, carefully staged to signal rebirth. Yet people inside said the energy felt off from the very start. Staff quietly murmured about a tense exchange inside the SUV just moments before they arrived. One security insider claimed Harry's face was ice cold, no emotion, no warmth at all. Meghan, according to that same source, sat rigid, adjusting her earrings in the window's reflection and never once meeting his eyes. When the doors swung open, nearly every camera in Manhattan was trained on them. Producers had mapped out a flawless entrance. One step, one smile, one perfect image, but something derailed almost instantly. Harry broke formation.
See her face. You get here, mate. But on stage, when they knew everyone was filming on their mobile phones and taking pictures, it got even worse.
He moved ahead of Meghan, picking up his pace, eyes fixed on the carpet instead of the crowd. That wasn't confidence at all. No, that was distance. And insiders insist this wasn't a one-off moment. Weeks earlier, at a private industry dinner, Meghan reportedly reached for Harry's hand. He pulled back beneath the table, murmuring something brief and cutting. One witness said that was the exact moment the warmth vanished from their royal dynamic entirely. PR analysts and body language experts all reached the same conclusion. Whatever broke between them happened long before that tense night in New York. What unfolded at the awards gala wasn't just an awkward clip caught on camera. It was the public reveal of a private collapse that had been quietly building behind the scenes.
The simmering tension between the duplicitous Duke and his facelift-enhanced wife. Here's the red carpet arrival.
Hey, Harry, where you going?
Insiders agree on one thing, but they fiercely debate the cause. Some blame fame, others point to pressure, others whisper about control, yet everyone admits the fracture was already there. One source close to Harry claims the real breaking point didn't even begin in America. According to them, it started in Paris, quietly unfolding behind closed doors, far from public view. To the outside world, Paris looked like a victory. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex stepped onto the red carpet appearing polished, powerful, and united as flashes erupted around them. For weeks, tabloids hyped the appearance as their ultimate reset moment. The night they would flip the narrative and take control of the story again. Every detail had been carefully planned.
And then you see her naked feet crisscrossed in front of her, like the world is at my feet. Ha ha ha. This is so fun. This is where my children's grandmother died. Good times. Let me put this.
The outfits, the walk, the smiles, everything calculated. Meghan glimmered in metallic gold. Every movement deliberate, every glance locked on the cameras. Harry followed in a classic tuxedo, offering nods to fans behind the barricades. On paper, it was a display of strength and poise. The exiled royals turned global icons. But the facade began to crack almost immediately. As the first wave of camera flashes hit, tension seeped through the glittering surface. Even viewers watching from home could feel it. Harry's expression didn't match Meghan's energy. He wasn't smiling. He was holding on. A tight exhale escaped, subtle yet revealing. While Meghan waved effortlessly, a flicker of strain crossed his face, the kind no amount of media training could ever erase.
Especially when he's on the BBC saying that it's not safe enough for my family in the UK, but it's safe enough for Meghan to be alone in Paris, literally engaging with the paparazzi, you say.
Then chaos tore everything wide open. A single voice sliced through the noise, sharp and raw. Stop using our offspring. Time seemed to freeze. Conversations halted mid-sentence. Cameras captured the instant the atmosphere shifted. Meghan's smile stiffened, almost mechanical. Harry's jaw clenched, his eyes snapping toward the heckler before flicking to the entrance doors. This wasn't surprise, it was recognition. Those words struck a nerve already raw behind closed doors. Moments later, Harry grabbed Meghan's arm. Not gentle, not reassuring, urgent, sharp. What some later brushed off as guidance, a nearby photographer described as a clear signal.
Have you ever seen that video? No. Pull that video up.
Harry's speech was so lackluster, Tash. As you say, I think he's furious about what went on in Paris, but they couldn't cancel this event.
The warmth had vanished, replaced by quiet control and an urgent need to move. From that moment, the night unraveled in near silence. They hit their cues: applause, laughter, poses, but the connection between them was gone. To casual viewers, it looked like glamour. To those paying attention, it was grief disguised as grace. What the public hailed as a comeback was really the opening chapter of a slow collapse. On the surface, the evening appeared flawless, but replays told a colder, harsher story. Every frame from New York was slowed, zoomed in, dissected. No words were needed. The body language screamed everything. The distance wasn't measured in steps on a carpet. It lived in the smallest gestures. Harry's hand hung rigid at his side, fingers twitching. Each time Meghan leaned toward him, she smiled wider for the cameras. Harry blinked sharply, as if retreating inward, trying to vanish while remaining in plain sight.
Our children, Archie and Lily, are just 6 and 4 years old. Luckily, still too young for social media, but we know that day is coming.
Now, Meghan, the actress, of course, had to stick to the script. And so we had the hilarious, she's trying to talk about the need to protect children from social media, even though she's pimping out wherever she can, causing these tensions.
Body language experts didn't hold back. One analyst described Harry's posture as defensive withdrawal, the stance of someone emotionally retreating under pressure. And once that switch flips, insiders say there's no pretending anymore. Another expert noticed something even more revealing. Meghan's laughter lagged by seconds, like a delayed cue. It was timing without connection, coordination without chemistry. Insiders say this pattern wasn't new. Weeks earlier, at a charity event hosted by Kevin Costner, Harry's irritation was visible even off camera. When Meghan tried to guide the conversation, his jaw clenched tight, his gaze drifting distant and cold. That same expression resurfaced in New York, sharper, heavier, impossible to ignore. Behind the scenes, whispers grew louder by the hour. One stylist who worked with Meghan that night revealed the fitting session ended abruptly after a disagreement over her outfit. A publicist later recalled Meghan's voice echoing sharply down the hallway, clipped and tense, followed by a door slamming shut.
The New York Times are finally realizing actually his wife might be a disaster tourist, but he is a disaster when it comes to charity, especially African charity, because he doesn't actually give a damn. For years and years and years, he used Africa because it was good for his people.
No shouting from Harry, just silence. The kind insiders say became his new default. He no longer argued, he pulled back, and that withdrawal followed him straight onto the red carpet. Online, fans noticed the fracture instantly. Side-by-side photos told a story far different from the captions. Harry leaned away, expression flat and guarded. Meghan leaned in, performing closeness with a camera-ready smile. Agencies labeled the images as romantic, but longtime observers saw something entirely different. Endurance, not affection. By the night's end, even event staff stopped calling it chemistry. One producer whispered, "It felt like watching two actors share a scene they no longer believed in." And that question hung heavy in the air. What turned partnership into performance? To find the answer, you have to rewind, not to New York, not to California, but back to Paris, where the fracture first began. Before New York, there was Paris. It was supposed to be Meghan's comeback moment.
If I know that this is a place that my husband hates because it's where he lost his mom, I'm not going to go there.
Harry usually introduces his wife, not last night. And my God, the look she shot him. It's like, you just wait till we're back at home.
Front row seats, couture gowns, luxury on every side. The photos scream success, but behind the perfect images, witnesses sensed something colder. They moved through the same space like strangers. Harry kept his distance, eyes fixed straight ahead. Meghan worked the room, greeting designers with her signature smile, basking in the spotlight. To the public, it looked glamorous. To those close enough to notice, it felt like frost. Then came the moment that changed everything. Meghan's team filmed her walking through the pond down the tunnel, the same location linked to Princess Diana's tragic death. Meghan smiled softly at the camera, scarf pulled tight, expression calm and deliberate. When the clip hit online, backlash erupted. But behind the scenes, it sparked something far worse. Sources close to the couple say Harry was furious. Not loud, not dramatic, deeply shaken. This wasn't quick anger that fades. This was heavy, silent rage.
But I have to just say, anyone who has doubted me over the past decade about this evil woman now needs to eat some humble pie. Because this video, designed to mentally torture her husband...
It doesn't work for you to shoulders back, breasts out, headlights going, and try to look as bitchy as possible.
That tunnel wasn't just a place to him. To Harry, it was sacred ground. To Meghan, it symbolized legacy and reflection. For Harry, it felt like a line had been crossed. Insiders say their argument that night was brutal, words sharp, cutting deep. Harry demanded to know how his mother's tragedy could be treated as spectacle. Meghan insisted it was harmless, even artistic. That was the moment something finally snapped. 4 years, Harry had defended her against everything and everyone. After that night, insiders say he couldn't do it anymore. The silence between them grew louder. Harry stopped shielding. Meghan stopped explaining. Their smiles became scripted. Their affection became choreography. Every appearance carefully rehearsed. Every gesture designed to hold the illusion together, even as the connection quietly slipped away. After Paris, the shift wasn't dramatic. It was subtle, slow, and unsettling. Friends say Harry didn't explode or lash out. He went quiet. The jokes disappeared. The warmth cooled. The easy laughter vanished. When asked if everything was okay, he nodded and changed the subject. That silence wasn't peace. It was retreat. Insiders first noticed it during planning meetings. Harry stopped weighing in. Where he once challenged ideas or pushed back, he now stayed neutral, eyes down, hands folded. Meghan spoke more, decided more, controlled the room. To outsiders, it looked like teamwork. To those in the room, it felt one-sided. One former advisor described it bluntly: he checked out. Not physically, but emotionally. He was present, but gone. That kind of withdrawal doesn't happen overnight. It builds when someone feels unheard for too long. Public appearances follow the same pattern.
I just spoke to somebody that said their palace sources say perhaps the king would plan to meet with Prince Harry at the beginning of 2026. Meghan Markle has no desire to return to the UK because she knows how simply loathed she is.
Harry arrived early, left quickly, avoiding lingering conversations. Meghan stayed radiant, composed, camera ready. She leaned into the spotlight while he hovered on its edge. Side by side, they appeared united, but frame by frame, the imbalance was obvious. Then the schedules shifted. Harry began skipping optional events, citing exhaustion, privacy, or personal time. Insiders insist it wasn't burnout, it was avoidance. Each appearance grew heavier than the last. Behind closed doors, communication thinned. Arguments didn't flare, they stalled. Conversations ended unfinished. Harry stopped pushing for resolution. Meghan pushed forward anyway. When one person disengages and the other accelerates, the gap widens fast. Friends close to Harry say he returned to old routines: long solitary walks, late nights reading, time spent away from shared spaces. He wasn't plotting an exit. He was coping. Meanwhile, Meghan doubled down on precision. Every outfit planned, every appearance polished, every moment framed for maximum impact. To her, control meant stability. To Harry, it felt like pressure. The tension revealed itself in tiny moments the cameras barely caught. A pause before stepping together, a half-second delay in reactions, smiles that didn't reach the eyes, touches that looked practiced rather than natural. Staff noticed too. One assistant quietly said, "They stopped moving like a unit." Once that rhythm breaks, it's impossible to fake. What once felt like partnership now resembled parallel paths. Same destination, different pace, same image, different emotions. By the time New York arrived, the cracks weren't new, they were exposed. The red carpet didn't create the fracture, it revealed it. And the hardest truth insiders now whisper: it wasn't a single argument, a moment, or a mistake. It was the slow realization that they were no longer fighting for the same thing. Harry wanted peace. Meghan wanted momentum. Both kept smiling. Both kept walking. But behind the flashes and applause, the story had already changed. Not with a bang.
She's sort of very needy, isn't she? She loves to be loved. And she hates the British people, that she'll never come back to this country because she knows people don't really want her back in this.
But with distance that grew louder with every click of the cameras. By the time New York arrived, the performance was all that remained. Laughter sounded mechanical. Eye contact felt forced. And the man standing next to her wasn't angry anymore. That phase had passed. He looked hollow, emptied out. And that's the danger no one anticipates. Not rage, not scandal, just emptiness. Because when love turns into survival, it doesn't explode. It erodes slowly, quietly, completely. What started in Paris didn't end in New York. It just became visible. Every story has a rhythm, and theirs began to stutter like a heartbeat skipping beats, uneven, fragile, impossible to ignore. You could sense it in the pauses between smiles, in clipped sentences whispered off camera, in silences that lingered too long, leaving a weight in the air. This wasn't a fairy tale painted in bright colors. It was brushed in shadows, cold silver flashes bouncing off a red carpet, fabric whispering past microphones, the low hum of a crowd waiting for something to crack. Every public word was polished, rehearsed, picture perfect. But every silence told the truth they wouldn't speak aloud. Their story had become half theater, half confession, grand staging, tight control, threaded with a quiet that made you lean in rather than pull away. What was breaking between them wasn't loud. It was the kind of unraveling that happens under breath, behind closed doors, between two people who know the script too well to admit they're lost inside it. Every move became deliberate. 3 beats of tension, 1 of calm. Every phrase cut short as if neither wanted to finish the thought. Harry's voice, slow, clipped, restrained. Meghan steady, yet strained. Together, They sounded like dialogue from a film already deep into its final act. And that was the secret pulse of their downfall. Not chaos, but precision, a flawless image built on controlled emotions, slipping out of sync frame by frame. The more you look, the clearer it becomes. Every pause, every glance, every carefully chosen word hides something more haunting than any lie. Somewhere between performance and confession, their silence spoke the loudest of all. Maybe the smiles were real once. Maybe the laughter on those early red carpets wasn't scripted. But somewhere between spotlight and silence, something shifted. Glances grew shorter, touches colder. What began as rebellion against the crown slowly turned into rebellion against each other. Every story has a final scene. Some end in noise, others in nothing at all. For Harry and Meghan, it won't be a press release or a dramatic public split. It'll be the quiet ending, the slow kind that happens so invisibly one day they simply stop standing side by side. Cameras move on. Headlines fade. Yet the question lingers like an echo. Was this love ever meant to survive the fame it helped build? Because when affection becomes performance and loyalty turns into strategy, the fairy tale doesn't shatter. It dissolves, frame by frame, smile by smile. In the silence between flashbulbs and reality, the truth waits. Unseen, unspoken, unforgettable. What unfolded in New York wasn't just a moment. It was a mirror, reflecting something Meghan had faced before. The slow fading of affection, the quiet shift from love to positioning. The patterns feel familiar. Charm, performance, unraveling once the cameras turn away. And if you think this was the first time someone close to her sensed the fracture, think again. Before there was a prince, there was another man who saw it coming. Joe Giuliano, Meghan's first husband. The man who once promised forever and walked away before the world even knew her name. He has finally spoken, and what he revealed about why his family rejected the relationship paints a picture even more unsettling than the royal drama. His words don't just explain the distance seen on that red carpet. They expose a pattern repeating for years. To understand why Harry's silence feels so final now, you have to hear from the man who lived the first chapter of Meghan's story. If this opened your eyes, share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this breakdown made you see things differently, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more deep dives like this.